Hey everyone, so let's start with a pretty surprising fact. Did you have any idea that India was one of the very first countries in the entire world to launch national-level programs for reproductive health? And we're not talking about the 80s or 90s, we're talking way back in 1951. Today, we're going to dive into what reproductive health really means and take a look at the incredible blueprint India created to tackle it.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to get on the same page and really define what reproductive health is. Then we'll go back in time to see how India's original plan started and how it's changed over the years. After that, we'll dig into the nitty-gritty of how they spread the word, built the support system, and finally, we'll look at the actual results to see what kind of difference it all made.
All right, let's kick things off with the most important question of all. What are we actually talking about when we say reproductive health? Because, it's a term that gets thrown around a lot. Well, according to the World Health Organization, it's a state of total well-being. And that word total is everything here. This isn't just about the absence of disease or having organs that function correctly. It's so much bigger than that. It's a complete, holistic view of a person's health. And this is where that idea of total well-being really clicks. You can break it down into 4 key parts. Of course, you've got the physical, healthy reproductive organs doing what they're supposed to do. But then look at the rest. Emotional and behavioral well-being in all our sex-related interactions. And, maybe most importantly, having a society around you that actually supports all of this. For a community to be truly healthy, you really need all 4 of these pieces working together.
Okay, so that brings us back to India's pioneering role. The country's strategy didn't just pop up fully formed. No, it grew and evolved over time, starting from a pretty narrow focus and expanding into something way more comprehensive.
This timeline right here tells such a powerful story. It all kicked off in 1951 with these programs called family planning. And back then, the main focus was really on population size. But the crucial thing is, these programs were never set in stone. They were constantly being checked and improved. Over the decades, they morphed into what we now know as the Reproductive and Child Healthcare Programs, or RCH, and that was a huge philosophical shift from just numbers to the well-being of the whole person.
So how in the world do you pull off such a massive social goal? Well, the first big pillar of the whole strategy was and still is creating widespread awareness through some seriously powerful education. And listen, they didn't just, put up a few posters and call it a day. This was a really smart, multi-layered approach. You had the big media campaigns on TV and in print, reaching tons of people. Then you had the super personal, trusted channels, parents, teachers, and friends. And finally, the game changer, bringing formal, factual sex education right into the schools. Each one of these channels played a totally unique and vital role.
The mission was simple but powerful. Bust the myths. Get rid of the misinformation and empower people with real knowledge. This wasn't just your standard biology class. The curriculum was designed for real life, covering everything from STDs and birth control to the critical importance of maternal care, and even touching on gender equality. It was all about building a solid foundation of knowledge for a healthier life.
But look, awareness is only half the battle, right? You can't just talk about health. You have to actually provide the care. So the next massive undertaking was to build the real-world infrastructure, the physical and scientific foundation needed to make all these goals a reality.
For any big public health plan to actually work, you need these 3 things to fall into place. You've got to have the infrastructure, the actual clinics, the hospitals, the equipment. You need professional expertise, the trained doctors, nurses, and counselors who know what they're doing. And of course, you need the material support, the funding and resources to keep the whole thing going.
And this is where that support system becomes real for people. It provides tangible medical help for some of life's most important moments. Everything from pregnancy and delivery to getting treatment for STDs, accessing safe abortions, getting counseling on contraception, and even navigating the tough challenges of infertility. It's about being there for people across the entire spectrum of their needs.
Now, part of this support system involves advanced science, but it also demands strict rules. Take amniocentesis, for example. This slide shows its 2 very different sides perfectly. Its legal, intended medical use is incredibly important for spotting serious genetic disorders in a fetus. But its misuse for illegal sex determination is strictly banned, and for a very good reason, to prevent the tragedy of female feticide. It's a critical, legal, and ethical line in the sand.
And this support system isn't just about using the tools we already have. It's about creating brand new ones.
Sahéli is a fantastic example of this. This new oral contraceptive wasn't imported from somewhere else. It was developed right here by Indian scientists in Lucknow. It's such a powerful symbol of the commitment to homegrown research and finding better solutions.
Okay, so we've looked at the strategy, get the word out, build the infrastructure, and keep innovating. But here's the million-dollar question. Did it all actually work? Let's take a look at the results and the very real signs of progress.
The data really does tell a story of incredible progress. We see fewer mothers and babies dying during childbirth. We see more and more births happening with medical help. We see better detection and treatment of STDs, and more couples making informed choices to have smaller families. And you have to remember, these aren't just abstract numbers. Each one represents a life saved, a family helped, a fundamental positive shift in the health of an entire society.
So, when you boil it all down, the main takeaway is crystal clear. Reproductive health is so much more than just a medical idea. It goes way beyond the walls of a hospital or a doctor's office.
It's really a social mission, not just a medical problem to be solved. It needs all of us, through our communities getting involved, through honest education, and through healthcare that's supportive and accessible. India's journey laid an amazing foundation. I guess the question for all of us today is, how do we keep building on it? What's the next chapter in this story for our own communities right now?